what were you doing in the US? Well, I went to a gathering of paddlers. Paddlers? Paddlers. You know, kayakers, canoers? Oh, canoers, okay, yeah. Where? In Memphis. Okay. She says, have a good day, and she hands me back the passport. And I was shocked. And I didn't drive away just yet, because I thought there'd be more, and I didn't see a pink slip like I usually do and point over to the door. But I got through. And I got on the 401, and I drove toward Chatham-Kent. And the first thing that I saw when I got into Chatham-Kent were some crows, of course. And lots of snow, which I hadn't seen for a while either, at least a week, which was nice. And it was cold, but I was home, and that was cool. And I felt good, and I knew that just coming down here, coming down Richmond Street, and I was stinky, which I'm still stinky. Yeah, I'm still stinky. And I was tired, and I'm still tired. And I've been in the same clothes for about 4 days now, and I haven't had a shower in a long time. And I was thinking to myself, well, this is the end of another adventure. And usually I look and I smell, and my teeth are totally disgusting right now. I've been on an adventure. And I thought, wait a minute, I look like this every day. And to some people who know me, I pretty much look like this all the time that they run into me. Why? Because I'm having an adventure every day. Whether I'm in Memphis or other continents or right here in Chatham-Kent. I grew up here. I was born in the front seat of a car on Queen Street. My dad likes to say that I've been on the move ever since. And when I was about 20, I guess, I moved to London for 5 years, and then I moved to Vancouver, British Columbia. And when I got there, I bought a bicycle for $600, which I must add is in the back of my car right now. I still have it after all these years, and it still gets used. That bike has actually been across 2 continents, Canada, from Vancouver, British Columbia, all the way to St. John's, Newfoundland, 8,642 miles. And it's also been across the Australian continent from the most westerly point to the most easterly point. And I like to say that I was riding at both times. But it's also seen a lot of this area too, just tripping around. Wonderful, wonderful things to see in Chatham-Kent in the summertime and in the wintertime too. I went down the Mississippi River in 2001 with an old friend of mine named Scott McFarlane. Maybe some people in the room know Scott. I know Scott's sister is in the room. And we had a grand adventure, canoeing the first 500 miles of the river, and then we bought a paddle, or a pontoon boat, and we went down the rest of the river in that. We sold it when we got to New Orleans, and we went to the Burning Man Festival in Nevada. And we were dressed in our superhero costumes, and I really wanted to wear my superhero costume tonight, but I thought, no, I'll just go with the old stinky stuff here. So that leads me to some more water tales. So at some point, there was a transition from the bicycle to a kayak, and I found that if I could just be the captain of my own little boat, that would be a very cool thing to do. And it was lots of fun. It was just so easy to propel myself. So I bought a kayak in Vancouver for $800, and I did some training on it. And then I went back to Australia with the idea of going down the Murray River, which is the longest river in Australia, in a kayak. It was 1,525 miles, and it was an amazing journey. And it was warm. And it was winter time here, but it was summertime there, so that was even more awesome. And I had just an amazing time, met some amazing people, and came back with this idea that, hey, maybe I could do some more river journeys. But before I did that, I went back to work at a landscaping job that I really didn't like very much. And I pushed a lawnmower around all day, belching out all these stinky emissions, and I wasn't very crazy about that because I was doing all these zero emissions expeditions with these different kinds of craft and walking and bicycling. And one day, I was pushing this lawnmower around, and I thought, what's the longest river in North America? I think it's the Missouri River, but maybe it's the Mackenzie River in Canada, and I wasn't quite sure. And I thought, well, where does the Missouri start? Where does the Mississippi start? Where do these big rivers start from? The source of these rivers. I was always intrigued with this. So I decided to do some research on it and find out that the Missouri starts in southern Montana. Cool. And it starts 8,800 feet in the Centennial Mountains. That's pretty cool. That's way different than the Mississippi, which starts at an elevation of 1,400 feet in northern Minnesota. So I got really intrigued with that. Wow, I can go back to the mountains and I can start kayaking from the mountains on down. Well, wait a minute. Where does it end? Well, the Missouri River ends at the Mississippi, just above St. Louis. And I thought, well, why stop there? I'm going to go all the way to the Gulf. And then this light bulb, or whatever was out there at the time, maybe it was the sun, if that happens in Vancouver, sometimes I guess, it came on and said, why don't you go to every continent and descend the longest river system from source to sea? Now that would be cool. And it would be an ongoing project, which is something that I was trying to create as things were going on with all these other expeditions that I was doing. But I needed something that would be ongoing. So I thought, man, 7 continents, that's going to take me like 15 years to do. But hey, I could write a book about each one. And I could promote the first one and grow it just like the project would grow. And so I needed a name for it. And I thought, well, the Magnificent 7 expedition. That's pretty good. I'll use that. And I found out that there was one other guy that I know of anyways on the planet, and his name is Mark Kelch. He lives in Buenos Aires. He's Australian, and he's doing the same thing as me. And he chose to go to the Missouri at the same time as me. And we have a mutual friend. His name is Dave Cornthwaite. And I got a hold of those guys and said, hey, let's compare notes. Let's do this. That was an amazing journey, going up to the source of the Missouri and arriving at the Gulf of Mexico, 3,800 miles or 6,100 kilometers. It took me 256 days. I met a huge amount of people along the way, thanks to a gentleman named Norm Miller, who created the Mississippi River Paddlers page. Sorry, Norm. And through that Facebook page, I met so many river angels. Now, there's a term on the Appalachian Trail, or some other long trails in the US, excuse me, that a trail angel is someone that helps the hikers when they come through. So we've adopted this term of river angels. This past week, I was in Memphis with a whole room of river angels. A great crew of people in Memphis who have helped me out, helped Dave out, helped Mark Kelch out, helped Janet Moreland, who was the first woman at age 57 this year to do the same thing that Mark and I did, paddle all the way from the source of the Missouri to the Gulf of Mexico. And to be in the same room with these people and these legends as well was just so humbling and so awesome. And one thing that we all agreed on was that we had all said one word to make this stuff happen, to bring adventure into our lives. And we all said, yes, more. Well, that's 3 words, I guess, isn't it? Oh, wait, get the hair out of the way. And by saying yes, we brought positivity into our lives. It's hard to say no to somebody if they ask you to do something and you're wearing a shirt that has yes on it. So a whole bunch of us had these shirts on the other night, and we were saying yes to new adventures and to new ideas that other people had, and new canoe routes and new kayaking routes, or routes as they were saying, and bugging me about a boot and a and all this other stuff that the Americans usually do, jokingly, of course. But there was one other thing that came up too, and that was a lot of smiles. My friend, who's 78 years old, his name is Dale Sanders. He gets on the water in Memphis every week. He works for the Wolf River Conservancy. The Wolf River is a 105-mile long river that runs through the Memphis area. It's a beautiful river. And he helps take care of that, and he helps get people out on it. And he was born in the 1700s. No, he's 78 years old. But he just goes like a kid. And us guys, we have to keep up with him. And that is so inspiring to me. And it's not just one guy. There's a bunch of these guys, and they're all retired, and they're all 70s and 80s and 60s, and they go and go and go. And it's so awesome to be in their company, definitely. Dale came up with something when I was on it's called a bike car. It's this four-wheeled bicycle, and you sit in it, and this dude sits beside you. And at one time it had 4 seats, so like other people could sit there too. And you pedal, and it's the same size as a small car, except you're propelling it. Dave and I were on this thing last year, and we got smacked by a car in Mississippi. Shot us off the road into a field, and we were lucky to be alive. Glad that nobody got hurt. And in the footage that Dave has of that incident, Dale, whose van was struck by the car that struck us, he turns to the camera, and there's a big smile on his face. And he said, "Still smiling." And we say that to each other all the time. When the times are tough, when I'm paddling down the Mississippi River in January, and it's snowing, and everything is frozen, and the zippers and the buckles and the snaps, and my hair is frozen because it's got water in it that's dripping from the paddle, and everything just pretty much sucks. I smile, and I take a picture of myself, and I send it to my friends. And it's just a matter of still smiling and saying yes. That can get you into adventure real quick, whether it be anywhere else, around the world, or right here in Chatham-Kent. It's out there, and it's really close, and you can have fun with it. And remember, still smiling. Thanks.